right now. Listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it. Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
3:07 on the first day of November in the Lord's year 2016. You realize we are now 60 days from 2017. Did you ever think you'd live that long, Tom?
You know, I never really thought that much about it, Mac. I was always anxious to get to the next stage. When I was younger, I wanted to be older, and when I was older, I wanted to be. And now I'm very happy with the age I'm at. But no, I don't know. I guess
you and Methuselah. You don't mind that ancient age.
Casey Kasem.
Do you have you speculated on how long you'll live?
Well, in Jesus forever.
Yes, of course.
On Earth, hopefully not long. I'm ready to go home.
Ready to go.
Yeah, and then you'll be my legacy, and then it'll become Tom's world. Although you'll have to fight Frank. I got to tell you, I didn't want to say this out loud on the air. Frank, cover your ears. Frank did the show by himself on Friday with Kevin Johnson, and he did a really good job. I mean, it sounded good, and it was organized, and the ins and outs were good, and had some real strange callers. What was the one lady you said called?
Some gal named Donna from Montezuma, which has got to be right on the border of our listening area. And she was putting forth the conspiracy, wants us to investigate into it. Is Hillary left-handed or right-handed? And we got a texter that said he thought something malfunctioned in Donna's brain, and was it the left or the right that malfunctioned? I told Kevin, I said, snap.
Yeah, I didn't hear the call, but I heard it was a good show anyway.
Need a little more screening maybe on some of those, huh?
Well, no, I think Jebediah does fine. I think we get our callers are the best. I've always said that. You know that. People who call Mac's World know that they can speak their mind and not fear getting chewed out by the host. Mm-hmm. They're the star of the show. It's their voice, unless it's Tom's World, then Tom's the star. But otherwise, it's your voice we want to hear. It's always your opinion we want to hear. Talk radio is really doing well on the new frontier of communication, because people are finding that they not only can listen to any talk radio show on their smartphone anytime through the TuneIn app, but then they can just call in, and they're right there.
Well, they can, and it's not quite as filtered as some of the other media is either, I don't think,
Oh, no. The rest of the media is pre-programmed, pre-packaged, all pre-done. Whether people know this or not, this just happened about 8 seconds ago. So, because of the delay, but otherwise, it's live programming. This radio station, we were figuring out the other day, this radio station has maybe the second or third most live programming, local live programming in the community.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that, Mac. You and Chris and everybody done a good job on this.
It's really Frank. It's well, Frank.
Frank is a part of it now.
Yeah, Frank is Thomas. What did you say?
I said Frank is a part of it now.
Bob.
I'll take that money. I'll take that money now, Tom. I'll give you the money I owe you.
Is that the lie the accuser wants me to believe?
Here's the $20 I owe you, Tom.
And Bob's a part of it too.
Well, Bob, I can handle. Jebediah, I can handle. You're even a piece of cake. But the feral cat over here. Oh yeah. Oh, here. Let me just give you an idea. See, Frank, cover your ears. See, what Frank hasn't figured out yet is he is a reflection of the program, and the program has my name on it.
Yeah.
And so here was Frank's latest post on Facebook. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The Eucharist is the blasphemous practice of some Protestant pastors who should know better. They pompously create and crucify Christ over and over and over. God nowhere in Scripture endorses cannibalism. Do this in remembrance of me. His disciples weren't vampires, nor nor
I haven't had time to edit that.
17 hours. There's no time there. Nor are we simple bread and wine are symbols. Luther taught against the heterical practice, but came short of its discontinued use by force. But some in 2016 live in the Dark Ages.
Well, you
luckily,
didn't bring him on here as your as your biblical translator, and he's on here for other reasons, Mac.
Now he's wondering why.
Can somebody remind me? Jebediah, why? Why do we have him on?
Because it's 50% more fun.
Because what? What'd you say, Jebediah?
I said that's a good question. One I don't have an answer to.
Well, I think we ought to sit down with the staff and talk to them about it. Staff meeting?
Yeah.
You, me, Mr. Peanut?
Some of the stuffed animals.
Yeah.
And when was the last
They're
staff
not
meeting?
stuffed animals. They are cartoon characters that when the door is shut and locked, they come alive.
Oh, so it's like Toy Story almost.
It is.
Okay.
And if you're not careful, you're going to be Woody. All right. We hope to have David Young on.
Yes, we hope to get him for the next couple segments. So he's got a whirlwind tour today. He's doing what he can. He's working like he was mentored under Chuck Grassley, and you know how hard Grassley works.
Yeah, David's out there working as hard. So, and I had to send a formal letter of apology to David Young's staff after Frank's Facebook post. Because as a good Lutheran, he didn't appreciate that Frank was knocking Luther. And not only that, Pastor Luke Tim came back and said, well, in a long portion, wrong. So I don't know how Frank can be so wrong all the time.
Luther was against it.
Luther was against what?
The practice that it is actually turns to blood and the body. It is a memorial. It's a symbolism of the memorial of.
Okay. All right. So if I take communion and I do it in remembrance of me,
the remembrance of Christ,
or if in my mind I think I'm actually eating the blood and body of Jesus Christ, what difference does it make? I mean, really, in the essentials, this is the conversation you and I always have, Frank. You are majoring in the minors.
Okay. How many times have you told me Christ has spilled all the blood? He's not going to spill any more blood.
Right.
So how is it that you keep refreshing God's blood?
Why is that essential?
I didn't say it was essential.
Why is that worth this thread on Facebook that makes me look like an idiot? You know what your comeback to that line is? Let me just help you. Tom, you know what it is. Frank or Mac, you can do that all by yourself. You don't need any help from Frank. Come on, guys.
It's a straight line. It wasn't a condemnation.
I got to set you up on your own jokes here. Jebediah, would you put a big mark down for Mac and a 0 for Frank?
When the Presbyterian
and
the Armenian agree,
and yes,
you're on the fringe.
So anyway, that's the kind of week I've had, and it's only
okay.
Today's
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So now that you've expressed why you're frustrated, I understand now.
Oh no, frustration doesn't evenly come to explain to it. For instance, let's compare my frustration to one of your customers at Consumer Credit of Des Moines. So you've got two customers who come to Consumer Credit of Des Moines. One we're going to call Bob, and one we're going to call Frank. Bob got laid off, missed a few house payments, getting some threatening calls. A couple credit cards are behind. He comes to you and you help him out.
Right.
Frank comes in.
Tells you how to do your business.
And Frank's not paid or filed his taxes for 27 years, citing religious beliefs. He has a credit score of -37 because he's overdrafted at Wells Fargo. He goes to Wells Fargo just because there's a Latino girl behind the counter that he thinks is hot.
Croatian.
She's still working there?
Croatian.
Oh, she's Croatian? Not Latino?
No.
Okay. I mean, Frank literally... So Frank gets paid. And so let's say Frank's paycheck for this month is $6,500. Let's just say
65 cents. Oh, $6,500.
So what Frank wants me to do through payroll is write him $6,500 $1 checks. So he can go, what's her name?
I don't know.
You don't know? How could you be in love with a woman you don't know her name?
I'm in love with her. She's just pleasant on the eyes.
Easy to look at.
Easy to look at.
So last month, I had 650 charges on my checking account because Frank cashed $6,500 $1 checks, and it cost me $10 a piece for him to check it.
I asked him one day if he could just write me $1 million $1 checks.
I said, sure.
Doesn't mean it's going to clear, right?
That's not my problem. So what I'm going to do for Frank is I have an account that I've closed. And so I'm going to write him $1 million checks. No, what was that? That was $1 million $1 checks.
Yeah.
On an account that's closed. And I'm going to write on the back of every check, help, I'm being held hostage in the trunk of the green Ford. So when he goes to the bank and he cashes the check, hopefully they'll recognize. And then what I'm going to put in the trunk of his green Ford is I'm going to put Bob. And so when they open the trunk, there'll be the Bob. Bob, you're okay. You know Jesus, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be with Jesus, but
So
there'll
you're
be
going to sacrifice Bob to lock Frank up then?
It looks that way. It does. Because Jebediah is too young, and he's got children to sire. And Bob, we just want to go home, don't we, brother? So why not?
Bob's already been through his fruitful years, and he's ready to go. Huh?
Yeah, why not hit a grand slam in the ninth inning of the home of the World Series to win the World Series? Frank's gone in the slammer. He'll be right next to Hillary, and Bob and I'll be in heaven. Of course, I'll be in heaven after they find out what I've done and electrocute me. And Frank will just be living in the rubber padded room. Okay. Enough fun and games. I know you asked your pastor to listen today, and all I am is joking. By the way, butterflies in Mason's jars works great. Coming back with Congressman David Young, we hope.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi. My name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 3 o'clock, 3:21 in the afternoon, live here in Max World on the very first day of November in the Lord's year 2016. Want to send a happy birthday wish out to my little sister. This is just, I can't believe this. She's 52. No, she's 53 this year. My gosh. Where does it go? Tom, I remember when you and I were running around the streets of Corridon and drinking Schlitz and just having a good old time.
Turn on fire hydrants. You remember all that?
Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right. Congressman David Young will join us when he's available, and it'll be via phone because he's out running around today. So
heavy schedule today.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the Hillary Clinton FBI investigation and WikiLeaks. And is this, I mean, why isn't this the biggest news around?
Well, I think in some circles it is. I mean, you talk about an October surprise, as we talked about yesterday. I don't think that quite covers this thing. Frank, you'd mentioned to me off the air about a longtime Democrat pundit, Schoen.
Doug Schoen.
Yeah, pulling out his official endorsement of Hillary. The polls are dramatically shifting. The one that I saw the other day and I mentioned was the LA Times went from Hillary 4 up to Trump 4 up. There's others that are shifting that. So the public is getting this, whether the regular media wants it to or not.
Well, here's my question to you, Tom. What do you think that, I mean, Hillary's camp is in a tizzy. They're trying to bluff the FBI into outing it all, which they know they can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because there'd be classified material in there you'd be able to read about 2 words. But will the FBI, because the voters in limbo here, you know, will the FBI come out and say anything that you know, give some indication? I mean, I doubt they're going to come out and put her in handcuffs. But will they give any indication that there's potentially some explosive, serious stuff here?
Well, and of course, the indictment has to be run past the Justice Department, which has been blocking off and tried to block off by reports today. They tried to block this letter that went out to both Republicans and Democrat Congress, where the Democrats initially said it only went to Republicans. A lot of things working here, Frank. They say now that they are putting massive resources onto these 650,000 emails that were on Anthony Weiner's laptop to go.
Don't say Weiner and laptop in the same, please. This is Christian radio.
You can't make this stuff up. And they, for your listeners that don't know, they actually came in with a subpoena to take the laptop in regards to an investigation on what he was doing via his technology to an underage 15, 16-year-old girl. But what they're saying now, and of course then they found a lot of things that Huma had backed up on his laptop. Now what I'm hearing, Frank, is that the FBI, well, we said yesterday, massive numbers of FBI agents who took their job seriously and wanted to see justice done. Some of them surely have friends in the Secret Service and military where she has openly been disrespectful to them for many years and they wanted to see justice done to her, are putting massive resources to come out with at least an early report. Preview, as it were, of what they have before election time. I think they're going to come out with some things.
Well, some of those same FBI agents were putting out the notion that at minimum her security clearance should have been jerked. But here's the problem. This word intent. See, they had the goods on her. But what they come out and said, well, it was all about intent. Intent's never the standard here. Because if you mishandle gross negligence of classified material, that is a indictable offense. And it's been proven that it's an indictable offense. So the reason why intent is important in this case, quote unquote case, is because the high profile of who handled it. And that's Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Hillary Smith would be in jail now.
I think this was an out that Comey took at that point to try to lay out that, yes, there is evidence here of criminal wrongdoing, but we're going to say no prosecutor would take this because you can't prove intent. Well, knowing full well he's a lifelong man of the law, a prosecutor and so forth, he knows that people like Petraeus and the recent 4-star general and other people have been indicted and convicted of much lesser offenses without ever worrying about the intent.
And if they have a circle of people from Cheryl Mills to Podesta to Uma to Clinton to this circle of people,
right,
they're going to find the intent.
Well, and did you know, Frank, that you mentioned many of the names, there are 5 different people that are in that Clinton inner circle that the FBI has separate investigations going on with now. Did you see that?
I have seen, yes. Some
but that came out just today to reinforce Podesta, Huma, who probably committed perjury, Mills. There are others that in that circle that they are doing separate investigations on. Now, one of the things that somebody speculated in the media today, well, maybe she could get elected and pardon herself. What I think, well, I still have faith that Donald Trump will prevail in some fashion, and I think God is providing a doorway. But if she does or doesn't, I think very quickly Barack Obama will move to pardon. Now, I haven't heard that mentioned, but I think it certainly will because his fingerprints are on this too. And for whatever else reason he might or might not do that, he can't afford to allow himself to get hooked up into this.
Well,
thing.
I believe that's what Podesta's motivation was, to make sure there was no emails between her and Obama that was seen. But
must come out now under WikiLeaks that there were.
If WikiLeaks has Abedin's emails, they've got the whole cachet. There's 650,000. That's the whole enchilada.
Right. We got him?
Yeah, David Young,
okay.
Congressman David Young is now on the phone here in Des Moines doing some campaign stops, and we just appreciate the opportunity to talk to the congressman anytime. David, how are you today?
Well, I'm good. I'm out here on a 6-day, 75-stop Victory Tour Express, so I'm down in deep southwest Iowa around Mount Ayr in Ringgold County. So if I lose you, I'm sorry, but I'm having a ball, and it's beautiful here. It's harvest time, obviously, and we're harvesting our corn and beans, and as well as both out here.
Yeah, in Ringgold County, one of the poorest counties in the state of Iowa, and some of the best people. A good friend of mine comes from Ringgold County. Her dad was a pastor down there for many years, and just salt of the earth people down there. So I'll let you continue, Tom.
Well, David, according to your schedule, in about a half an hour, you're going to be within just a few blocks of my home in Norwalk.
Well, we're eking our way up there.
Well, you inviting him over for milk and cookies?
I don't know.
David, Tom's got a whole bunch of extra trick-or-treat candy he did last night.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you went out trick-or-treating. He looked like Woody from Toy Story.
Yeah, so.
That's the last thing I need right now.
I know.
We're getting set pretty well on this. A lot of donuts.
Well, David, we appreciate you joining us for a little while on your very busy schedule. And I said you're kind of like your mentor, Chuck Grassley. You get out and you work, don't you, buddy?
Well, my promise was to be in every county every month. There's 16 counties here in the 3rd District. And it's very, very diverse. So you have the most populated county in the state is in this district, Polk County, and the least populated county in the state is in this district as well. And that's Adams County, where Corning is, about 3,800 people in that county. So, but people are talking about the same thing. Economic insecurity, national security issues, and then just the overall issue about government in our lives. At what level does government govern the best? Where's the most accountability? And I'm somebody who believes that where the decisions are made closest to you, at the local level, state level, that's where the best accountability is, really.
Well, you've got the unenviable task of having to run hard every 2 years. I really wish there'd be a way that you guys in the Congress could govern more and campaign less. That's got to be a real trial. And in your district, you were early targeted by the Democrats and their money as vulnerable. And I suppose you're always going to be vulnerable as long as you hold that seat because of the makeup of the district.
Well, it's a Republican-leaning district by 2 points. But regardless of that, in 2014 we won by 11 points.
Mm-hmm.
But that's that first re-election where they really test you. But but back to the every 2 years, I do think that there's so much different technology and campaigning is different. Social media, all that kind of stuff. But I think it is important to just keep in mind that if you don't like what's going on with your federal government, you have a chance to change it sooner than later, at least with the House, every 2 years. And so that's a very, very important check and balance that the people have on Congress and on government. So.
No, that's true. Now, you had a recent debate with your opponent, Jim Marr, on Iowa Public TV. I don't know if you've had any others, but...
Yeah, I've had two. One on KMA radio last Sunday, and then, 8 days ago, and then at the Iowa Press today,
The Iowa Press. Again, there's been tons of money pour in on this congressional race, more so than I think most people would expect. They targeted you. You've run hard. The Republicans have put some money behind you, so we've seen a lot of ads. They tar you with Donald Trump. They put the Trump cap on you, and I saw that on the TV this morning as I was getting ready to go out the door. I saw you with the Trump cap on. I've seen Marr tied up with Pelosi. Some of the PACs supporting you have tarred him with Pelosi. Tell us your position. Are those? I know you're not directly running yours; it's done by PAC money. But are those effective when they're tarring you with Trump and him with some of the less desirables of the Democrat Party?
Well, first of all, we have our campaign, and then we have our ads. Young for Iowa,
right?
And then any given day, you'll turn the TV on and there'll be ads out there either for me or against my opponent, but it'll be on my behalf and from a PAC. And so you can't coordinate that. It's illegal to coordinate with outside groups on these things. And so they just show up. Are they effective? Well, obviously somebody must think they're effective, but I tell folks that people in Iowa are really different, and we're really politically savvy and educated and very discerning because we take these things very, very seriously. And people like to have a little bit more of a positive message, or at least a contrast with an opponent rather than just making stuff up and, distorting images and that kind of thing.
Well, and we had Sam Clovis on here a few weeks ago, and he was really upset that we had to deal with all the scandals. He wants to deal with issues. What 2 or 3 issues do you think most clearly separate you?
All right, now, David, I'm going to ask you to think about that question for 4 minutes, and when we come back, you can answer that. So ask the question again so David knows exactly what it is.
The 2 or 3 main issues that you think put you in a distinction with the Iowa voter over your opponent, Maurer.
You got it.
All right, so when we come back, Congressman David Young on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. You probably don't have your pigtails on, do you, David? I mean, just you and your willy tails? Oh, he's on hold. Okay.
Say that again.
Oh, I was just singing On the Road Again and wondered if you had your Willie Nelson pigtails on.
Oh, yeah, and my guitar and my hat. All that stuff.
Yeah, right. Not. Okay, Jebediah is producing. Bob is watching the Service Legends Truth Talk text line at 515-809-0993. Frank is... Frank. And my special co-host in Tom's world is Tom Coates. New nickname, Little Woody. We're coming back with Congressman David Young here, live on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News. And a conversation I tried to have yesterday, a couple of different times, and between Grouchy Pants and Mr. Thomas over here, I was never able to really get into the depth of the conversation, and that is, are you living your life wholeheartedly for Christ? Now, what does wholeheartedly mean? Well, we'll talk about that. Your voice is the one I want to hear at 515-244-0077 if you have questions for Congressman David Young. Lines are open, 515-244-0077. Or you can also text us at the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. All right. Tom, I interrupted you because we were up against a hard break. You had a great question for David. Repeat the question, please.
All right. It comes down to policy, David, and I know that you're a serious policy wonk, and I don't mean that in an insulting fashion. But you worked for Grassley. You were heavy into policy. You and I have visited before. I want to hear from you what you think maybe the 2 or 3 most cutting-edge policy differences there are between you and your opponent.
Well, Tom, if you watch the Iowa Press debate, I think they were exhibited there. Number one, on national security, my opponent is all behind and agrees totally with this Iran agreement that went through. He's doubled down on it. Even though he says we can't trust Iran, he's all for the Iran agreement, even though the State Department says that the $150 billion that Iran's going to get, that they'll likely use some of it for terrorism, okay? So that's a big one. And, you know, they are the prime sponsor in the world of terrorism. So
right.
That's a pure distinction right there. I'm totally against the Iran agreement, and I voted against it many times, and we'll still try to do what I can do in Congress here this fall to try to slow that down and put more sanctions back in place. The refugees issue is also with national security. He is not for tightening and clamping down and putting extra stringent background checks on refugees coming in from Syria and Iraq? I am. You know, when we have our Secretary of Homeland Security, our National Intelligence Director, and our FBI Director saying that we can't properly vet those coming from these countries, I take that seriously. And when ISIS says that they want to infiltrate our refugee system, I'm going to pay attention. And so there's a clear distinction right there. As well, there's a bill that I introduced in the House, a bipartisan bill called Sarah's Law, that has to do with if an illegal alien is picked up in America from creating bodily harm on someone, on an American or anyone else, or even killing somebody, that local law enforcement should turn them over to ICE, to the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration and Customs. Because we had a young lady in Council Bluffs named Sarah Root who was killed by an illegal alien in a drunk driving incident. And unfortunately, that illegal alien posted bond and got away. That's a bipartisan bill. My opponent opposes that, which is just asinine in my mindset.
Well, David, in the paper today, the Des Moines Register castigated Steve King for suggesting that immigration that you're talking about should be people willing to assimilate. And one of the polls that I saw a while back showed that the vast majority of Muslim immigrants to this country wanted to live under Sharia law, and 20% of them felt that using violence to achieve Sharia law was acceptable. I can't see why we would want to bring in, but yet they have greatly increased the Syrian refugees, and I did see it in a poll today, 99% of those Syrians were Muslims. Now, at one point, 30% of the population of Syria were Christians. How is it we can't seem to find any to bring in if we're going to bring refugees in?
It's a great question, and it's one that we're banging our head against the wall and trying to use whatever tools that we have to help bring sanity and to stop this. But, you know, when we would go to other countries, we would do our best to assimilate, because that's, you know, practicing the language of another country and being, you know, it just makes common sense. It's the best thing to do, to try to assimilate. Now, the other issues that I have a difference with my opponent on are economic issues. He has doubled down on Obamacare and can't think of one policy or proposal to change Obamacare, because, as we know, we just saw the numbers that, on average, in 2017, premiums are going to go up 30%. It's not working. People lost their insurance. Some people's premiums, what they're paying now, is about the same as a mortgage payment. You know, we want to help people. I mean, that's the kind of people that we are, but we don't punish others to help others in Iowa. So I've got my proposals on how to fix our healthcare system. First of all, I think you need to repeal Obamacare and start over.
You're with Trump on that, repeal and replace, then.
David, don't you think that's kind of funny that Bill Clinton says that Obamacare is the biggest mistake in the face of the earth, and Hillary Clinton says it's great, we just need to build on it? I mean, how does that happen?
They need to talk to each other a little more often, maybe. I don't know, but
or maybe less.
You got a lot of you got Democrat and Republican governors saying, "Wow, the premiums are they're hurting our families," and I think we're taxed too much. My opponent, as well, in the debate said, "You know, I want to repeal the death tax." He said, "There's no such thing as the death tax." You know, our family farmers. I'm out here in rural Iowa, and our small businesses. They're concerned about if something happens to somebody in the family, they want to pass this down to the next generation. They don't want to have to go, you know, go to the mortuary and the IRS on the same day.
It's ridiculous. Go ahead, Frank.
David, Trump is polling fairly well here in Iowa and has been doing so for quite a while. Some other states doesn't have that luxury, congressmen and congresswomen in other states. And they kind of see the need to separate themselves from Trump. What's your feeling on your candidacy, and do you feel the need to kind of embrace some of Trump's issues or kind of back off of them? Or not his issues, but back off his, you know, the personal stuff?
My issue has never changed on this election. In the primary, with the 17 candidates, I said that I wasn't going to endorse anybody But I would invite everybody to go around with me to the counties and the state fair and introduce you to Iowans that I would support the nominee in the end. And so I'm supporting the nominee still, and we'll continue because you have, both of them are imperfect. They're flawed. We're flawed people, though. None of us are perfect. And then you look at this in the context at the end of policy. And the policy matters, Supreme Court matters, things that we've gotten to President Obama's desk that he's vetoed. Trump is more likely to sign into law. And so these things, you got to look in the context of policy. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm not running away from him. I'm not running next to him. But I'm supporting my nominee. But I'm doing my own thing.
Well, David, I saw in the paper, I didn't realize that your opponent, Jim Maher, was 30 years old. I mean, I've got underwear and socks I still use that are older than that.
Hey.
Now, there ought to be a certain level of maturity before you get into that kind of a responsible office. And I guess I just don't think most people at age 30 are as ready for the responsibilities that you have to bear up as you would be when you're a little older.
Well, we've drawn our distinction on policy with our opponent and as well experience. And so, we like the position we're in right now. The other side, and they're dropping a lot of money in here trying to take this seat. But we like the position we're at. And really, in the end, you just trust Iowans. We're pretty savvy. We see through a lot of this. And I remind folks as well, regardless of who the president's going to be, regardless of who leadership is in the House, my boss, they're the people of the 3rd District, not the president or not leadership. So if people have gotten to know me and being in every county every month, I've developed a great relationship with them, and a lot of it's about listening and going to advocate for them.
We're coming up on our last 2-minute break here, and then we'll come back for about 8 minutes. Your questions off the text line, 515-809-0993, or you can call in your questions or thoughts for Congressman David Young, 515-244-0077. Here's a question I'd like you to ponder, Congressman, as we go to this short break. What do you anticipate Barack Obama may do during his lame duck period from next Tuesday to January, whatever it is, 8th, I think?
20th.
Oh, that's right. It's always the 20th, right, isn't it? All right. What do you think we can expect? Congressman David Young is our guest for the last segment here live on Max World.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for the opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and the next hour, if we can get to it. Yesterday, my program was hijacked by Grouchy Pants Roloff and Frank the Burst Thomas, And I just wanted to talk about some Jesus issues. I got to tell you, I had to run for Congress if I get attacked this way all the time, even on my own program.
What if Grouchy Pants comes in again?
He will be.
Oh.
He will be, but I've got him on a gag order. So, Congressman, you're getting done with your first 2 years. This is, of course, a presidential cycle. No matter who wins the presidency, there seems to be quite a concern that Barack Hussein Obama will run amok from the 9th of November to the 19th of January. Do you think there will be a difference in his actions based on who wins the presidential campaign, either Trump or Hillary, and I guess I should say, do you feel that he's going to really make some terrible mistakes, especially for Iowa and the conservatives that we are?
Well, I don't know what other issues he could touch on in terms of executive orders. I mean, we saw what he did early on national defense when he, getting rid of the missile shield over in Eastern Europe that protected Poland and some of our allies. We've seen what he's done with, clemency and releasing folks from felons from prison. Although they say that those were accidents, I'm not sure that I trust that they were. So I'm not sure what other issues he could touch on. But you make a good point about depending on who wins the election here on November 8th. What kind of posture does he take and on what issues? If Hillary, our former Secretary of State, wins, then maybe he has a sigh of relief. If Trump wins, then maybe he and his political shop in the White House say what's left for us to do. But it is very concerning, and a lot of damage has been done to our country because, look at our drug laws. We have an administration who's not enforcing our drug laws. If you want to have the debate about legalizing marijuana and drugs, well, let's have the debate. But if you're going to have these laws, I believe that they need to be enforced. And if you don't like that, that's why you have Congress.
Well, exactly right, David. Now, some people, myself included, have speculated that if Hillary wins or loses, that there might be another pardon involved here because, as the WikiLeaks have shown, these emails go right up into Barack Obama's door, where he was responding in an unsecured server in a pseudonym. And I don't think he wants the FBI reinvestigation leading all the way up to him. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, who knows how many more emails are going to be released by WikiLeaks? And as well, who knows what those 650,000 emails are that the FBI Director Comey has reopened up to look at. It is interesting that this happened so early on, or so late, regarding the in this election here. And I don't know if the issue is if Comey was feeling some real heat from his career FBI staff regarding this.
That's what we see, isn't it? I mean, massive resignations is what we're hearing.
Yeah, that's or the threat of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's important as well for Congress to get back in and do some oversight on this while we have the majority, at least. And I think we're going to keep the majority in both the House and the Senate.
Well, then you've answered my next question. Are you going to be able to keep the House majority? Are the internal polling, I guess they're showing more favorable this week than they would have a week ago, huh?
This is a goat rodeo, guys. You know that. And it's so, from day to day, it just seems so interesting what the polls say. And the only poll that matters, I guess, is, as we know, is on November 8th. But I think right now that we have some momentum, at least I do, in my race. And I know Senator Grassley is going to do well. He may not win by, 25 points, but, winning by 20 points is quite a nice victory here in Iowa, which is a very purple state.
I wouldn't expect you to give out your internal polling, but given what you have seen on your internal polling, are you fairly comfortable in your situation at this moment?
I'd rather be me than my opponent. We were up 15 points in September. It's tightened a little bit, but we're still at about double digits, and so. But anything can happen, and so that's why I'm running like I'm 30 points behind.
David,
we're doing a 75, stop 6-day tour, and we just pulled into Norwalk, and I'm looking over at Wendy's ice cream shop. You know where that is.
Well, I had a long conversation with Wendy just last night at the local eatery, so yes, I do.
So we're going to jump out and go greet a bunch of folks here, and I appreciate you allowing me to spend some time with you, and thank you for keeping people informed, and also thank you for you're walking the walk and talking the talk, and your commitment to the good Lord and the prayers that you have for this nation, and we leave it in God's hands.
Yeah, absolutely, David. And thank you very much for taking the time to be in Mac's World. And I love to tell you this. I love you, and I'll see you in church.
All right. See you, brothers.
Yep. Bye-bye.
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 You know, I got to tell you something. I'm not and neither are you, Tom. Frank is. But, you know, we're not media people that use that position to gain favors or position or any. You and I are just not like that. I think it's probably because we're older and been there, done that. So David Young could treat me average, poorly, however he wanted, and I'm still going to go back and look at his record. But yet there probably isn't a Sunday that goes by that he doesn't walk into my church and search me out. Sometimes it's all the way down in my seat where I sit and just come over and shake my hand and always says, hey, thank you to you and Tom. But he mentions Bob and Jebediah sometimes too.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you to you guys for the hard work you do. And it's exactly what he just said, and just keeping the word out there about the Lord.
Well, that's great. You and I hadn't spoken much about that. I did not know he was that regularly attending your church. That's great.
Yeah, I think every time he's in town, I mean, I think so. It just seems like I see him 3 out of 4 weeks at the 9:15 service.
Well, he's a busy guy, so that's a pretty good attendance record given that and his duties in Washington.
Yeah, absolutely. And so 1 week from today, of course, is the finally. Oh, Tom, how long? 2 state fairs plus 3 state fairs, right? 3 state fairs. Well, we didn't have so much this last one because the caucuses were all over. We still had some candidates there. But my heavens, it's been 3 years since these people invaded our itty-bitty little state.
It's we have more heat politics in this state, I think, than anybody in the entire country, Mac. It seems like we never are out of a political season. I mean, it will start quickly. So it's amazing.
November the 9th.
Yeah.
Well, but to be honest with you, it'll be next state fair. Yeah. Next state fair, we'll have a half a dozen Republican or Democratic candidates, depending on who's in office. And quite frankly, if Trump's in office, we still might have a half a dozen Republicans.
Good point. Good point.
So anyway, I always like WHO Television's little Colonel thing, because that seems to be pretty accurate. And now
they showed Trump being a decisive winner this year.
Yeah, and there was a poll that went out that showed Trump winning 48 states. Now, I just cannot believe. I mean, if I had to bet, I'd tell you it's the other way, that Hillary's going to win in a landslide.
No, I don't think that either, but 48, I don't believe that.
All right, well, when we come back, if Frank and Chris are going to go to Wendy's and get some ice cream in Norwalk, and meanwhile, we're going to talk about wholeheartedly. Is your ministry wholeheartedly following Jesus? And what does wholeheartedly mean? It's been a recurring word in my life here in the last 3 or 4 days, and I'll tell you why, and we'll share that with you. All right, we're coming back next hour, live after Salem Radio Network News here in Mac's World on 99.3 The Truth. Yep, it's the truth.